Wait. We got some more people. Smart people who are going to be educated on, they're going to know what their rights are and fight for their rights. You guys want to see if you think it's bad? Look at my office. That's how much crap I have on my desk. All right, let's see here. Let's call to order the April 28, 2020 Policy Committee meeting. Let's see, we'll do roll call. Ben Wen?
Here.
Tamika Vukovic is here. Let's see, first subject, let's see, approval of agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
I will second that, Ben Wen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to go with discussion, our number 2 discussion item, credit reimbursement, and that does have a It doesn't have an action item on it.
Can you move to amend that? Or no?
Not with that. I don't know. Let me think about that. I just don't know. Let's just discuss it for now. I just got to figure out if we can. I don't know. Well, let's discuss.
Okay.
So right now we have a current policy on credit reimbursement where there is $60 per credit that accumulates until you get a master's degree. Then you, according to policy, then you get an $8,000 increase in your pay. And according to policy, it's supposed to stop. That has not been happening. And even after they get the $8,000 bump on degree, after completion of a master's, they have been getting teachers and teachers and staff have been getting that supplemental pay even years after they got. Now, I talked to some teachers and staffers that we have to kind of make them whole, because some of them, and this is where we can't take money away from them, but this was part of, we don't have enough money for, you to take this job, so this is how you're gonna supplement an income, which was not what it was supposed to be intended for. So Lindsay and I have talked, and this is where I think this is gonna go. As we do adjustments for the salaries, we are going to add their salaries with their credits into their salaries. Then we're gonna look at where their market rate is and adjust that way. So they will never lose any money. So for instance, if they were getting $10,000 a year, and with their supplement, they were getting $13,000 a year, but their market adjustment is, $12,000 a year, they would go up to the 13 plus a 2% CPI. So they would go up to their higher amount, plus they get a 2% CPI. So they're not losing any money. And then they're also getting a little bit of a bonus. Now, if it's the opposite way where they had $10,000 and you at 11, they, with their $1,000 from credit, and they had 11,000, but their adjustment was supposed to go to 15, they would still go to 15. But their credit, they won't get any more for their credits. But we're taking into account their credits in their base salary. So they will not get that supplemental check every November. It is actually in their base salary. And it works out. It does work out. So they are still getting at least what they got last year plus a 2% increase. Some of them will get more because they were so low on the market. So they might get 3 or 4% depending on where they were in the market. Because even as Lindsay and I talked, some teachers, even though they got this supplement in November, they're still lower than what they should be. So even with the supplement, they're still going to get a higher percentage. This is how we're going to grandfather the people that had been getting it in. So we're not taking any money away. There was one instance where we were looking at the base salary of one person was like, say, $10,000. And if they came up, it was still, and they got paid $20,000 the previous year. But even with their adjustment, they ended up at 18,000. We're going to bring them up to 20. So they're still getting what they need plus the 2%. Nobody is going to lose any money on it. But this is also incorporated into their salary. So we will not be giving the increase in November, except for anybody only the people that will get something in November are the people who were not on the list. And we're going to find out I think there's 1 or 2 people, and then we'll adjust them accordingly. This is the fairest that I feel we can do, and then implement a program where we pay people $150 straight up for credit reimbursement for whatever credits they have. And that is it. The second part of this is for people, because it's going to be 3 parts because people hit in different sections. The other part of this is people who have already started a program, that are approved program, that have taken the classes like they're supposed to. Those are the other people that will be grandfathered into getting into this, where they just started their program, but we can't change. We can change the policy because it's in the handbook. In a handbook, you can switch at any time and it says in there, but we want to be fair to people. So we're going to adjust salaries to reflect that as well. And I have talked to Lindsay, and it does work, and it can work. So that is the policy that I want to put forward to the board, with showing also what the adjustments look like and how everybody comes up. So nobody's losing any money, and everybody is going to get some kind of increase in their pay, but we're just not dropping out the $70,000 to $85,000 a year. Do you have any questions on that particular part of it, Ben? And then we'll go into what you're proposing.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of grandfathering people in and putting it on their salary, so that way we can have a fresh start with whatever the new policy is. I think that's a good idea. I disagree with the $150 thing. But
that's actually more than what they would be getting in 2 years. Think about this. They're getting, say if they took one credit, $60 now, and then another credit, a second year, they would only get $120, where here they're getting $300?
Well, what happens after 3 years?
then how many credits they have, you would still get more, because if they took another credit, instead of getting $180, they would get whatever 150 times 3 is.
Yeah, but you're paying for the class too. So,
That's not, but we are not here to pay for classes.
oh
and
no,
that
I'm not saying that we are. I'm just saying that, you're not actually making money when you're taking these credits. You start making money once you get your master's and get that $8,000 bonus. But it is nice, like, let's say you don't finish the master's, you still have 15 credits. You're still making some money yearly based on the credits that you got.
But we are paying to get you to a master's program, not, this is where I come, where I understand that, but I can't supplement someone's income, because even though some of this is direct education and their education they took, but also, unless they're keep going, the stuff they learned 10, 20 years ago doesn't even reflect what's happening in the classroom now, but they're still getting paid for something that is obsolete.
Well, I mean,
Some,
that's
in some,
true.
well, but you can't have it both ways. I mean, you know what I mean? It may not necessarily be true, but some of the stuff they're learning doesn't necessarily.
I mean, I agree. So like, as a math teacher, if I took English credits, I should not get reimbursed. I should not get a stipend for taking, reading credits. But, taking these additional math credits has made me a better mathematician, which I would say improves my practice. So, it's not, you can get reimbursed for something that makes you a better teacher, I think. And I don't think it necessarily goes away.
And I think it does at some point, in the sense of, how do I say this? I'm trying to be fair in our policies, but also look at what our taxpayers are paying.
I mean, again, I think the taxpayers would support, I guess I don't know, but you want good teachers in your schools, and good teachers are taking credits that make them better teachers.
And I understand that, but I've gotten, and I can share those letters with you, where I got a couple people are saying, thank you for supporting our teachers, but I think our policy needs to be changed. So everybody is supportive of teachers, but at some point, where do you say, okay,
well,
we're going to support you, and we're going to give you, and we're giving you tools, and we're trying to help, and we will give you more money when you hit that mark.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, significant amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, let's say, so if you, in the policy I'm proposing, you're limited to 30 credits. So, and 30 credits is about a master's. Now, some are 36, but most are around 30. So it would limit you. So, I mean, that's no more than $2,000 per year. So you're getting a fourth of what a master's would get you. So I guarantee if someone's at 27 credits, they're likely going to finish at 30 credits and stop getting those stipends, and they'll get $8,000 for their master's degree. But let's say they stop at 18 credits. Well, I mean, you're not going to get that much money, whatever 18 times 65 is. And that's a yearly stipend. That's not really that much money.
I just disagree. I mean, I think this is one of those things where me and Ben Wen are going to agree to disagree, but I respect what you're saying, and I understand the fight you have. We have some of the stuff that we can do to help our teachers, is especially when it's something that they can take a class and bring back, the school can pay for. Like some of those classes, especially if it's something that can be taught or learned or observed and taught to the whole curriculum. I am all down for paying, even $1,000 for something like that is going to be brought back to everyone.
Well, but even if it's just brought back to themselves, I mean, that they are better in their classroom then. And that's what we want.
Understand, that's why I'm giving them the $150 to say thank you.
Well, I'm just saying that $65 a year per credit isn't really that much, it doesn't end up being that much money.
It
And I
does
think
end up
it's
being,
nice.
it's end up being $60,000, $70,000, $80,000.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe.
That's what
I
it
mean,
was
what are
the
you
last few
what are you
years.
talking about? Over how many years are they?
That's how much we played last year, or 2 years ago, it was 80 something thousand. Last year it
Well, I mean,
was,
let's say a teacher takes 18 credits of additional material, whether that's like a certificate program of some sort or whatnot. I mean, that's about $1,200 per year. And don't you think a certificate program does make them a better teacher? And should they be reimbursed for being a better teacher because they're making a bigger impact on students?
no, because then I go back also to, and I could be wrong on this, so I'm gonna say it, but you can push back on this, but I also look at the equity piece of that, where someone can easily put in, I want to, supplement my income and take a couple of credits because they can. But what about the teacher who's a single mom and has 3 kids and don't have time for it, but she needs the extra money and she would love to go on and build some credits, but can't?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that one. But basically I'm talking about teachers that do get the additional credits, and it does make them a better teacher.
So my question that I would just pose is, are we making an assumption that teachers that can't take credits are not highly skilled teachers that deserve to also, like, are we assuming that only the teachers that take credits are really good teachers?
No, I didn't say that at all.
So that's another equity.
And that's not an implication I made. That's an inference you made.
No, I'm asking.
No.
I was just asking a question.
Absolutely not. No.
It was just a question, just piggybacking on the equity piece, right?
Well, I mean, again, we're I don't think that's an inference that we can make from any of the statements I made.
No, that's why I was asking the question.
Well, I think that's what you were saying. No,
Well, I mean, because I think you're right.
no,
It's not true that just because you take classes, you're a better teacher, but that's why I was just asking.
No, but it does make you a better teacher, and it's nice to get
it
reimbursed.
could make you a better teacher. Doesn't necessarily mean
Well, that's why we have
makes
the
you a better
superintendent. That's why we have the superintendent to approve the credits, because she can determine whether or not it does make them a better teacher.
But no,
On the front
that's
end,
not
I
what I'm
can't
saying.
tell.
What I'm saying is, if you took a math class,
Yeah.
like, because you're a math teacher, and you took a math class, and you were a crappy teacher before, but you took a math class and you still are a crappy teacher, just because you might just be a crappy teacher, that doesn't necessarily make you a better teacher. Just because you took a class, you're still a crappy teacher. I'm just saying, just because you have knowledge, and just because you have a master's, or just because you have extra credits, doesn't necessarily make you a better teacher.
I agree, but I think that there are classes that you can take that do make you a better teacher. So, I mean, you're saying, okay, content knowledge doesn't necessarily make you a better teacher. That's true.
Thank you. That's what I meant.
Yeah. However, clarity of instruction is a thing that does impact students more. Okay.
And
So
wouldn't that,
if you look at John Hattie's study, now, of course, there's issues with meta-analyses in education. Apparently, I don't really know much about medical, the medical field, but meta-analyses are the gold standard, I guess. But they've tried this in education, and clarity of instruction did end up being highly effective for student outcomes. Okay.
well, wouldn't
And so
that be in a professional development class?
So, hang on, the better you understand your content area, I think we can safely assume that would make your instruction a little bit more clear.
But couldn't we do that in a professional development setting?
Did we do what?
Couldn't we have experts come in and do that in a professional development setting?
Hey, I would love it if we brought professors in and had them teach content to math teachers. I would love that personally, but that's not what happens. Usually it's not content specialists that come in for PD.
Is that true, Allison?
Yeah, I would say typically we look at implementing high leverage instructional strategies for the same reason you said. Somebody can understand the content and still not be able to articulate that well to students in a way where they can learn it.
Well, maybe Ben and you can get together and strategically plan some of the stuff and take some of his ideas. I mean, and I'm being
Right.
serious in this because he talked over my head. I have no clue what he was talking about. You were sitting there going like this, so you understand what he was talking about.
Because I
Sorry.
agree. If you
If
don't
you were
know the
talking credits
content,
and debits, I would understand. You're talking about, you know, depreciation. I got you. I just don't understand what you just said. But I trust Ben enough to be able, I
Mhm.
trust him to tell us what is real, but I also am pushing back on this because I think it's a bit of a, we're doing what we can, and I think the policy I originally wanted is to stop all of it. It's $150 and that is the end of it. But Ben, you know, said it's not fair, and some of the teachers.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm saying.
No. I'm talking about the original one where I said 150, that's it. No, nothing, no anything, no grandfathering, nothing, because I was really adamant the last time. But after some teachers talked to me about how this would impact them, I was like, okay, I get this. I don't want to hurt my teachers ever. I don't want them to go backwards ever. But I also have a fiscal responsibility to see where those dollars are coming, and they can't, our dollars have to directly impact the school. And if we are paying our teachers well, and we're doing market, you know, assessments to make sure that their market values are going up and all that stuff, we are doing what we can to help them as individuals. And I think we're gonna be doing that in a positive way in these next contracts. But I also have to I feel like we have to draw the line at some point, and we can still support them, and we can still try to help them achieve, you know, monies to help with this, and even over doubling what the credit reimbursement would be. That would save us a huge amount of money in the long run. And when I say huge amount of money, $60,000, $70,000. That's a para that actually gets insurance. That's another para actually being hired. And those things directly impact student learning. Having that, and every time we always hear the teachers are talking about they need more support staff. Well, this is one or two people that can get insurance and move for more hours. And that directly impacts the student learning, because we have more paras there. We have more people who are going to be one-on-one and not 6 hours and gone, and not getting quality people because we're only paying them a certain amount of money with no insurance and no benefits. All for a teacher who may, you know, took a couple of credits, haven't finished a program or will not finish a program and just going to stick there, but they learned something 20 years ago and they should have credit for that when it's probably obsolete by now.
Well, I don't think
and their institutional knowledge of actually teaching for 20 years is way more important than what they learned in that classroom 20 years ago.
It's also possible that what they learned in the classroom helped them become a better teacher early in their career, and that's kind of propelled them forward. So we can't forget that. Also, there's a lot of ways we could, you know, make sure that we have more adults in the building with student contact. I mean, you know, like, so, I mean, you're taking it from this, you know, financial standpoint. That is true. But again, there's a lot of other, you know, creative things we could do so we have more contact with students, with the adults in the building. I mean, administrators are one of the best. I mean, they should be the best educators in the building, right? Why don't they have much student contact? You know, things like that. So, I mean, we can talk about this financial standpoint, but there's also, I mean, we can't forget about the number of other things we could do to improve outcomes of students.
And we can do both, but it's still a financial impact no matter what it is. We go through referendum every single year for operating. And then when we go up there, we're saying this is what we need, but I can honestly say the next time a referendum comes up, I can say, look, in the last 5 years, we have did everything we could to make sure that this money was directly impacting students. So if we're asking for operational, which we won't for a few years, but I want to be able to stand on what I've done. And I don't think this is going to hurt teachers at all. They are not losing anything with this policy. They are not losing anything from what they have made previously. And that is the key to all this.
I mean, yeah, so, right, we're doing, I like the idea of us grandfathering in all their teachers, but what I'm saying is we do want our teachers to continually improve. And I do think that sometimes, since, again, you have it's a semester long course, it's a 2-year program or something like that, that makes you a better teacher. And again, if a teacher takes 18 credits of graduate credits, I mean, I'm fairly confident that if it's the appropriate type of credit, so again, reading teacher taking reading credits, math teacher taking math credits, that they're going to be better, and that's going to make them better throughout their career. And again, $1,200 per year for a teacher, I mean, it's a nice bonus.
And the last part is, as they looked at what the reimbursement policies for other districts, no other district, and we're almost sure in the state has a policy like this.
Yeah, most school districts will either not even pay you for a master's, and then there are some that will pay you for a master's. But you're right. I think most districts do not offer a credit stipend.
And that's where I'm saying we have precedent to say no, nothing, but I don't want to do that. I still want to be able to give them a little something. It's not going to be the world, and I can't give them the world. If I could pay for everybody to have a master's program, and the people that are paying the tax out wouldn't mind, I would do it, because I want people to get anything they possibly can within reason. And if that's within reason that we pay for master's programs all out, I would be like, yes, go ahead, pay them out. And that's one of the reasons why we had to reevaluate a bunch of the way we paid our administrators when they got doctorates, because we were like, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. We paid a doctorate and then they're gone the year they finish, or they're gone a year after the finish. So I get that. And we had to get them to pay back too. So and then I definitely don't think you want to put a stipulation in, not that I would, but oh no, I might, that if we do this, then, but you have to be here 3 years because I'm paying you this amount of money. You have to stay 3 years so I can get my $65 worth of your teaching. We're not putting that kind of stuff on it. I think, but that's that. I mean, we both have gone back and forth, and you understand me, I understand you, and then let's talk about your proposal. And I'll start out with the caveat that he's brought it in because this is part of what we used to have as a credit reimbursement. I think this is a separate, and I would like to split this as a separate issue, especially when it comes to this. But Ben, kind of gear out what you want to do, and if you think it is included in this or not. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that people hear what your side of it is on this is Ben's proposal.
Yeah, well, okay, no, I mean, I just looked at what was in the handbook and kind of edited some areas. And I do think that the supplemental pay for an advanced degree is related to credit supplemental pay, because most of the time, the goal of getting these graduate credits is to get an advanced degree. So that's why they go hand in hand, I think. So anyway, I just adjusted a few things because I remember, there's a question about, well, what happens with a second master's degree? So I put that in there. And then—
Can you say it for the record?
You want me to share it, Ben? Do you guys
Yeah.
want me to share it? Okay.
Oh, yeah, why not? Yeah, okay, I'll wait.
Just for the record, so, because this is recorded, so everybody will be able to see it.
Yeah, yeah, so there was a question about, oh, you want me to say everything? Okay, so there was a question about, well, what happens if you have a second master's or, something like that. So I put that in there. So right now, I think it's it's $8,000 for a master's degree. And so if you got a second master's, that's an additional $2,000, which is $10,000. And then I guess I ended it there. Because I don't know. So I ended it there, and that's up for discussion, obviously. And then a PhD, I put $12,000, and then I put the credit supplemental pay underneath, where it's $65 in supplemental pay per year per approved college credit. So again, this would have to be approved by the superintendent, and then it's up to 30 credits. So it's pretty much what we were talking about before, except with the edited area on the advanced degree.
And so he can, in the sense of that, I think the advanced degree supplemental pay is a supplemental pay. And I think this is a conversation that we can have on this, where teachers who have done the work and have the opportunity to do it can get more money in their pay. I don't know if I agree with the amounts, but I mean, because I haven't really thought about it or did any analysis on it. So I'm not saying yes or no on that part. But I agree we may need to put something like that in place, but I don't think it's related to the credits.
I think it's just that they are related in the sense that, when you're getting these credits, your goal is to get a degree. And then I think they were together, if I remember right, in the handbook.
I think they are.
They were, and that's where I want to split it, because then I still want to give people who are going for their second master's $150 per credit. So it's not like they stop if they're going for their second master's and it's approved program, they still get $150 per credit. So that part is, the credit part is still going to be, no matter how many masters you get or PhDs or whatever, that still stays in line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's credit related. But what you get after that, that is, and I would say anybody who takes credits that are approved should be paid for it. Not even if they're not in and depending on what it is, even if it's going towards your, like what you're saying, educational, needs, or helping you as an educational, as a teacher, just because you're not in a program, you should be paid for those credits. And I believe if it's going to help prove that Allison goes, you know what, she's not in a master's program, but I can see why this money would help her, be a better teacher. They should be able to get that credit money, whether they're in one or not, and they get that money. It's just, that is an equitable way that anybody in an approved class, whether they can get in a master's program or not, but just improving themselves. And it doesn't fit in the category of where this is going to help the whole staff. So the school is paying for it because it's not going to help the whole staff, but it'll make you a better teacher. But you're also not in a master's program. You just decide you want to take a class because it's going to help you. Then here's $150 per credit. And then people who are going towards their master's or a second master's or whatever, they still get the $150 per credit. But once they hit that goal, they get the $8,000 first, and then every master's after that, they get $2,000, but they're still accumulating that money when they take classes. It's just not building. So I'm not against your proposal. I just think it's two separate things. So we're gonna have to let them duke it out on this issue. Now let me think about. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think about, can we? technically,
Maybe we
we've
should,
discussed, and I don't know if we have any action because I'm thinking about that. We don't have an action item because we can't agree. So we're gonna have to send it up to them because we have no action.
yeah,
We can't agree, so we might have to send these, we may have to go to the school board and say, this is what Ben is saying, and Ben, maybe we can, what I think maybe you and I can do is work on the stuff that we agree on
yeah,
and bring that to, this is what Ben and I agree on, this is where we don't agree on, and then let them come up with it in the next board meeting. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like, we agree on some stuff.
hmm,
And I actually really agree with that top part of that supplement income,
yeah,
but I don't, and we'll figure out if we want to pull it out or if you still want to keep it in to the credits, because I think there's two separate things.
yeah,
And then, but I think we're on the right track, but we don't have an action item because we don't agree. So I think we can move it up to May in our board meeting we'll talk and try to get, what the policy want to give forth to them that we both agree on. And then we'll split out, this is the stuff that I want to do and this is the stuff you want to do. And then we can make it coherent to what there is. And then they can make the decision on what they want to add or, because I mean, hell, they might agree with Ben. And I think two of them may, so who knows? Do you think that's a feasible way to do this? Mr. Benwin?
I do.
Now I'm going to ask I know this is not, I'm going to, even though we're not into visitor participation, because that is on a non-agenda item, I really want to see if anyone that is in the gallery would like to speak on any of the items that we just talked about. Especially Mr. Birmingham, since you are the liaison to the union.
Good evening, everybody. I apologize. I jumped in late, and so I kind of missed the proposal and just caught the tail end of what you guys had decided to do.
Okay, I will give you a gist of what I said earlier. I still want to stop this credit reimbursement, but I want to do some grandfathering in. So no one is losing any money, but they will not get that check in November. It will be added to their salaries and the adjustments of what their CPI will, and when we were doing market value, that is what we'll adjust, because and they will get some kind of raise no matter what. It's just, and we're adding that into their salary instead of giving them that extra, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That is but we're also going to stop. My proposal is to completely stop this add-on year after year. We're going to do $150 reimbursement per credit, and that can be very substantial. If you think about it, because most people take more than one credit, which is more than what they're getting now, but it just will not keep adding up. So I think it'll bring the monies down because we're not paying for the last 15 or 20 years on credits. But we also will give money to the people who are, and in some cases, most of the master credits, when I saw, they were anywhere between, some master credits $150 and some was $400 per credit, if I'm not mistaken. And if we're paying $150, we're almost paying half of their credit right there. So we're paying half of it even with the $150 per credit.
Did we, okay, and maybe I'm missing that, but I thought at the last meeting you were thinking about keeping those two separate So the reimbursement was was going to be a separate than the credit reimbursement? Did I miss that?
Yeah, you missed that. Because that is right now it's been going as, it's supposed to be a credit reimbursement, but people have used it as a supplemental of their income. What I'm proposing is take, like, say someone has been getting $1,000 every November,
Mm-hmm.
adding that to their salary and then doing their market adjustments. So they are still going to get the exact amount or more. They're going to get at least what they got last year, plus 2%, or they're going to get even more because we're doing market adjustments. So it's a win-win.
Mhm.
Either they're going to stay the same and just get the 2% CPI raise, or if they're below their market value, they're going to get more than 2% and bring
Right.
that all up. So they will never be losing any money on their salary, but they won't get that money, one-time money in November anymore.
Got it. And then how is your proposal different than what Ben? I'm sorry, and I missed Ben. What did you say? How does that differ from what
They're
Tamika
trying to
is
give the
proposing?
whole damn committee of money to every teacher all the time, all the money ever. No, I'm just kidding.
So you can see it posted. I thought I cleaned it up a little bit. So it would be, I included the supplemental pay for advanced degrees. So it was $8,000 for a master, then an additional $2,000 for a second master's, $12,000 for a PhD. And then I said, instead of, so as my compromise,
Mhm.
at least I thought it was a compromise, I would said we will reimburse $65 per credit per year, not reimburse, sorry, supplement. It'd be
Mhm.
supplemental pay, $65 per credit per year, up to 30 credits. And so that would be less than your $150 upfront. However, after 2 years, then it would be more.
And that's where we split a little bit.
Right.
We're gonna let the board decide on the full board decide on that. But I also want to split Ben's his whole policy to take out the supplemental, or having him connect what second and third and fourth and 15th masters and PhDs into a separate issue, because some of those teachers do have 2, 3, 4 masters. They like school and they just keep going. And so I think that's a separate policy in itself. That is, I personally believe it's not related to the credit reimbursement, but it should be part of a policy, because I do believe that teachers and administrators, well, not administrators, because you have your own policy, but they should, or staff, should, if they got an extra master's or a PhD at a certain point, they do need to be compensated for that, but there's also caps on that too.
Mhm. I would, this is my union hat, and I'm looking at, obviously, we would certainly, both policies, I think are okay. I would certainly lean towards Ben's proposal more than yours, but I mean, obviously, you guys will be in charge of making a final decision, and whatever that is, we'd have to deal with that. But I only like Ben's only because it seems it's not as radical a change, and if we could gradually get to where you are, Tamika, because I totally get what you're saying, and I think
It's not a radical change. We're just gonna give everybody money up front. If it's radical, we're giving money up front.
The radical part about it would be that where they were getting it every year, now they're getting a one-shot deal and then it's done, right?
No, they're getting it in their salary. So for instance, I'll give you this. So say if somebody was getting $5,000 a year in November, and their salary after the adjustment
Mhm.
was, before the adjustment, it was 10,000. They need to be at least to 15,000, because they have 10,000 plus
Sure.
the five.
Yep.
they're getting at least 15,000 plus 2%.
Yeah, but he's talking about year to year, I think. So you're right, with the grandfathering, and we start over with the policy. So whatever money they were making goes into their salary, we start over.
Right. So they
So what
are,
I think, I don't know, I guess I'm speaking from what he's saying is then the policy, my policy is very similar to what occurs now. So people would have to now get additional credits if they wanted the supplemental pay. But they're still getting the $65 per credit per year.
Correct.
yeah, and that, for me, that is, no, I
That's
just,
serious.
and you're supposed to fight for I get it, and I'm so
No.
proud of you for fighting for your teachers. I really do,
But I get you.
I'm-
I understand too, Tamika. I remember we had chatted before, and I see exactly where you're coming from, and I don't think it's going to be a major issue if your policy goes through the way it is. I mean, I just think it would be less of negative impact with Ben's, because it's pretty similar to what we are. But obviously, if yours goes through, it goes through, and I'm sure there are going to be some people not happy about it. It would be less people not happy with Ben's policy. That's all I'm saying.
there's not gonna be, so there's gonna be somebody who's not gonna be happy no matter what
You
policy
got
we
that
put,
right. You got
but-
that right. Yep.
because you can't please all, but
Yes.
what we
yes.
also have to do is try to please the teachers as much as possible. So nobody is losing, and no teacher is losing any money, and they all will get at least a 2% raise from all their monies.
Right.
So that is something that is guaranteed the way we're doing it.
And that's
But what we're
important.
not doing is giving them a lump sum in November.
Got it. Okay.
And we do need to, so we keep on calling this a raise, like the percentage, and the percentage is not necessarily a raise. because
CPI raise, it is CPI raise, so it's
It's
a
a
raise.
market, it brings it's the same buying power.
No, what I'm talking about is we're bringing up to market value, but then we're giving them CPI. So that is the part of it as raise. So that is part of a raise.
Well, CPI is not a raise,
But what we're giving that the percentage of CPI is the raise. Now, if you want to go back and pull it to the board and just say,
well, no,
hey,
I'm
we
just
don't need to
saying,
give them, that we don't, since we want to give raises, and we want to make sure we give raises.
I'm just saying, I think we're using the wrong word. It's an adjustment.
It's a raise.
buying power.
It is raising their income by 2% from
Well,
the
2%,
base salary, so
I
that
mean,
is a raise.
Technically, I mean, CPI is 4.7, but
So we have teachers getting 5.
so there's a 0.3%.
And just so you know, too, of course, we're not Milwaukee Public Schools, but they just approved all their teachers get a 5% raise this year and another 5% next year. Just saying.
And that is why they
That's
are
10%
going
in 2
bankrupt.
years. Somebody
And
like
that's
me at
why
the
they
top.
needed to do that multi-million-dollar referendum.
Mhm.
On the flip side, I just talked to a colleague who was sat in a room with the superintendent who told the whole staff that they are a pay freeze for the next 5 years.
Yep.
So we
And
can be
there's
there.
also a school district that had a meeting the other
I'm
day that cut,
all-
wait a minute, that cut almost a quarter of their teachers and expanded classrooms. And this was in our region.
Yes.
So I just was saying that we're not cutting teachers. We're keeping our class sizes. We're trying to give a little bit of extra money to people, and
Yeah.
that is not in their pocket now.
Saying
So
is
that's,
it's
that's-
semantics.
it's semantics, Ben, but it's always semantics with Ben when. That's why I am glad that you're here to make me, no, seriously, to make me think, because literally when I was on this thing, I was like, no. But talking to Ben, talking to some teachers, talking to Mike, I'm like, okay, how do we solve this? Still save money, still do what we need to do.
Yes.
And that was a series of conversations where sometimes we're like, you know me, everybody knows me. I'm like, no. But then hearing from Ben as a teacher, which I do respect, even though he'd be going overboard with that. He loved his some teachers. And I respect that though. He's gonna fight and get, most of the time what Ben does is he fights so hard on the ridiculous of it that he gets right where he probably wanted to get in the first place because he goes so far over and we think it's a compromise. He's like, that's where I wanted in the first place. In
I
his head.
taught him
Look at
well.
look
I
at his
taught him
face.
well,
Look at his
Tamika.
face right now. Now you think I'm but no, I get it. And we want people to be happy
Absolutely.
and we want our teachers to know that we support them. And I think hopefully this is getting out that, you know, you can call Ben, you can call Danielle, you can call Andy or Carla or me and write those notes. You will have a personal relationship with, you know, whatever board member you want, but we will bring it to the administration. But we prefer to you go directly to the administration and see, and then if she act a fool, then you come to us.
Mhm. Right, right.
Yeah, we putting you on the spot, Miss Weiss. She's not really. All right, let's go to, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna send both proposals and have them duke it out. Because
Sounds
Ben and
good,
I, for the
Tamika.
first time, are in disagreement, but it's healthy to be in disagreement. Don't you agree, Ben?
I
Because
agree.
then we get a good opportunity, huh?
I agree with you, yes.
Okay. Oh, let's
Good
see,
disagreement.
we went right back to us. So we're gonna send both proposals to, because we couldn't do an action item, because we don't have an action item. We just have to let them figure it out.
Okay.
So let's go to the two parts of my favorite, which is visitor participation. A visitor may speak on any non-agenda items at this time. State law and or board policy may limit the school board's response. Do we have anyone who would like to speak on the greatness of the board? Oh, never mind, on some. Jesse? Ms.
Yeah,
Carr?
can you guys hear
Okay.
me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm in the car, so this is a new one for me.
Okay.
I have a question just for clarification on the additional masters. There was a comment about grandfathering in, and I was curious if that was going to be the 8,000 grandfather or just some sort of different kind of compensation plan for that. And
We haven't discussed that part of it yet.
okay,
So that's not part of, he's gonna bring it to the board. I want to split it out, but in his proposal, it'll be in there.
okay.
So, I don't have an answer for you right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
wait, but it's my understanding that teachers get, right now, under current policies, teachers get $8,000 for a master's. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. I'm basically, here's the deal. I'm like about to start a new program that I got approved for mid-February or early March. So I'm just trying to figure out, you know, based on what I was kind of originally expecting versus what may be my reality.
And there are some grandfathered people, and I think there's 2 people that we have to figure out how we're gonna grandfather you in.
Wait, what is the policy on the second master's currently? Because I didn't see one.
There's
don't think
no, and
No,
nobody
it was-
gets anything.
I guess as a staff member for as many years as I've been here, it was always any masters. This was how it was presented. Any additional any masters you get was $8,000 more.
It has never been implemented that way. That was so you could get those credits kept going, from what I understand. Now, let me double check this because I will go back and double check. From what I understand, it was never an additional $8,000. What it was is you just kept getting credits until God knows when, until you retired. That
I'm
supplemental.
gonna jump in and say that from what in my experience, it has been $8,000 for each master's that you attained.
And because I know somebody who has 2 masters and they said they didn't get it. So it's also who implemented what, and that's where we have to figure that part out. So Miss Jess, we won't like leave you hanging. We will figure something out. Some of this stuff is gonna be grandfathered. I
Okay.
know, and we're
Yeah,
gonna
and then
try
I
to
just
figure.
didn't know. Oh, sorry.
we're gonna try to figure that out and we'll let you know in advance. I just have to talk to Lindsay about it, because first of all, we have to figure out what program we're gonna do. And then let you know how that the people who are gonna be grandfathered, because there's only, I think, 2 people who are actively in a program that are like you and one other person that are actively in a program with a approved a program that has been approved.
Okay,
So we're not gonna, we're really, I'm gonna try not to shortchange anybody, and we'll try to figure that out.
okay. And I'm not planning to go get any more masters. I am not gonna be, I thought I was done at one, so I will not be the 3, 4, or 5 masters per people. I'll be done.
I just want one. Can I have one of
That's
yours?
what I thought too, and then I got convinced to do this other one, so
Anyone else?
thank
Thank
you.
you, Miss Jess. Because I can't pronounce your last name, so I'm just gonna call you Miss Jess. Isa?
Is she?
Ishi.
I used
Anyone?
to be an
Anyone
ice,
else?
so I get.
Going once, going twice. We are 1 minute off of my goal time of an hour. Sorry about that, people. We like to be efficient here in the policy committee. This may or may not be Ben and my last policy meeting, depending on what happens with the vote and what committees people are. But I just want to say it was a joy working with you, Ben. I hope I get to do it on another committee, depending on how it goes.
Fun.
But I had fun with you. And don't let anybody else call you 3 Ben wins, because that's my thing.
Got it.
Anyone else? Miss Birmingham, Katie, Mr. Tilly, Miss Park, Carden. All right, going once, going twice. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Motion carries.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.